Right, so Fredy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Emiliano.
I am very excited for this episode since it's especially in many ways. So like the first thing is that it's my first in-person interview. So
Okay.
I've been podcasting for 5 years,
Huh?
and like for my personal shows, it's the first time that I have the opportunity like to actually do this in person, which is amazing. And yeah, I'm also happy that we just connected yesterday and that we are doing this today. So it's like crazy speed at which we are moving. So I'm happy for that. And yeah, so I'm glad that you are on my show, and I want to dive into different topics that I think that a lot of people will find valuable in different ways, and especially people who already know you. I hope that they will get to like know you through like more not necessarily unique stories, but like stories that you don't always share, right?
Okay.
And yeah, so the way that I want to start is that you basically grew up in the United States, right? And
Well,
then
yes and no. Let me tell you a little bit of background about me. I was born in Mexico City.
Mhm.
I was born 2 blocks from here in Virreyes, Santa Teresa.
Mhm.
And I was born one day after Mother's Day. Mother's Day here in Mexico City, or in Mexico, is the 10th of May.
Mhm.
No, it doesn't matter what day of the week it falls, it's 10th of May. And my parents always giggle and joke with me, hey, you were such a good kid. You waited for us to work the restaurant on the busiest day of the year, Mother's Day, and then you came the morning after.
Uh-huh.
So, but then at the age of 5, I went to study in the U.S. Maryville, Indiana is next door to Gary, Indiana, really close to Chicago, 35
Mhm.
minutes south of Chicago.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I did all my schooling there, Indiana University, Bloomington. I got a BS in biology, minor in psychology, minor in Spanish, and then I decided to get an MBA after working for a company right after college. I said, "Hey, why am I working for somebody making them the money? Why don't I get my MBA and started learning business?" And that's where I found a true passion and love for what I'm
Mhm.
good for,
Sure,
and
yeah.
that's business.
Mhm. No, and I knew that you were born here in Mexico.
Uh-huh.
Mostly what I meant is that like yeah, you lived for many years in the U.S., right?
Right, half of my life there, half of my life here.
Mhm.
I've been here since 2000, finishing my MBA.
Mhm.
There's 4 boys in my family. I'm the third of 4. I
Mhm.
raised my hand. I said, "Hey, I want to come
Uh-huh.
and help you, Dad." And my dad said yes. And this restaurant brand has been around since 1973.
Mhm. Mhm.
So now if you
So
do
it's like 52
52
years.
years. 52 years. It's a well-positioned brand, China Girl. It's a very, very great concept for family,
Mhm.
for sharing. And because of that, I learned and benefited and blessed so much with, taking care of the customers, operating 20 something years
Mhm.
straight. And that gave me the vision to say, hey, family stuff, values, and having that core of family and sharing is really important.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's how I developed another brand, which is PAM.
Mhm.
Por Amor A México, Poca Madre, por Amor Al Mundo.
Yeah.
Which is, it's the shit, it's the bomb, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to tell everybody, that we have to do the best we can all the time and be surrounded with the best people we can all
Sure.
the time.
Yeah. No, and yeah, with that being said, how I want to start diving into your experience
Okay.
is by having you share how was your experience, or yeah, like the contrasts that you experienced when you came to Mexico after studying in the US, and how that also started to develop these seed inside of you, which is now like which has now grown into this group that you're developing, right? And into this big project that we will dive into later. But yeah, how was that experience for you?
Well, my dad was the type of person that would watch news 5 hours a day. So when you watch so much news and it's all toxic, it's kind of like, don't go out, don't go out, don't go out, don't socialize, don't talk. It's kind of like, well, the life of living is to be happy
Mm-hmm.
and to be social and to have friends, but with that Asian discipline and good values, but conservative views, I understood, but then I'm like, I don't want to live in a
Mhm.
bubble all the time. I can't go out. I can't live my life.
Mhm.
So I'm the type of person that doesn't like to watch news all the time.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Not at all. But the differences here in Mexico is that it's so warm and family oriented. I'm not saying the U.S. isn't either, but I'm just saying that there's religiously you got to see family every
Yeah.
weekend or every other weekend, and it's in a way it's so beautiful. That's beautiful. And I see customers eating with us every Saturday or every Sunday, and it's just so beautiful that whole dynamic aspect of family, 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 family.
Mhm.
And because of our concept, the Chinese restaurant is all about sharing and family. That's got something to do with it
Mhm.
too.
Mhm.
So that's how I decided to do other things like, hey, if this country here, Mexico, has given us everything, why don't we do as much as we can to give it back
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
do more for this country?
Mhm.
So that's how I developed another brand. And here in Mexico, everything's private and expensive in terms of golf. It's super
Mhm. Mhm.
expensive. So in 2006, I remember saying, "Hey, I gotta go out there. I've been operating 6 straight years.
Mhm.
I gotta go out there and find my hobby and
Mhm.
find
Mhm.
my salvation and Zen." And I found it in golf.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I mean, unfortunately, everything here is so private and expensive. They had to go far out.
Mhm.
And when I went further out, the professor of Copal, Vicente Canelo,
Mhm.
he told me, Freddie, if you come here once a month, you can get your handicap. And he said it with such emotion and some excitement. And I'm like, why do I need a handicap?
Mhm.
I'm a
Mhm.
horrible player,
Uh-huh.
But he said it with enthusiasm that said, hey, you can go to the tournaments if you're got your handicap.
Mhm.
And when he showed me the flyer of a tournament, I'm like, how is it possible that an amateur
Uh-huh.
can go and win a Cadillac
Yeah.
or win those cell phones from Telcel, How is
Mhm.
that possible?
Mhm.
Everything's possible. Here in Mexico, the culture is the Spanish word is consentir, to
Mhm.
basically
Like nurture in some way, right?
nurture and, take
Uh-huh.
really care of your
Mhm.
customers or your potential customers.
Mhm.
So that's why golf here in Mexico is a totally different
Mhm.
nurturing and
Mhm.
super super 360-degree experience that they really take care of you,
Mhm.
because just for a hole in one you have a chance to win all these wonderful prizes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So that's how I got into golf, and that was in the mid 2006 I started playing, but
Mhm.
nothing really crazy until I started my own golf community.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's when everything took off. It was the 18th of March 2016 when I started my golf community in
Mhm.
WhatsApp. The reason why I started it is because somebody kicked me out of their chat,
Uh-huh.
and I was kind of upset. I'm like, well, why are you kicking me out? I'm
Uh-huh.
going to start my own,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that fire in my belly is what really took off. And I had a super happy problem, Emiliano. In the first 2, 3 months, I filled it. I
Mhm.
filled that
Mhm.
chat with 128 participants. At that time, it wasn't 256, it wasn't 1,000 like it is now. It was 128. So I
Mhm.
opened up a second one and a third one and a fourth one. And I just kept on filling it up and filling it up with all these people
Mhm.
that I met in golf tournaments of cause and foundation.
Mhm.
So if you think about it, there's two niches there. Golf is one niche here in Mexico, and then cause and foundation tournaments, that's another super niche.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that is like my whole community is based on all the golf tournaments and
Mhm.
golfers that I find.
Yeah. So it sounds like these very it's not necessarily a very Mexican feature because I mean it's not that Mexico is the only country that has like these culture of like including people and like being together a lot and like especially with family. But like again, I'll put it that way for the conversation. So like this Mexican feature that inspired you or guided you in some way, right? Like to really focus on creating a community and just like connecting with people and you started doing that through golf and then I am guessing that like that first group that you created turned into PAM, but I want to get that in a minute in a minute.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so what I wanted to ask is like what were other things that you tried besides golf like to find your scent, that's how you called it.
Right, my salvation, tranquility. I started working out. but obviously, as you can see, that didn't go too far. It's just, I don't know. Golf was always interesting to me. When I grew up in Maryville, Indiana, next to my high school was a driving range.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember clearly the physical education teacher, Mona Miller. She was a little bit big. She's like, every Tuesdays and Thursdays, let's go walk to the driving range.
Mm-hmm.
So going to the driving range, I remember her just telling us, just hit it far and straight, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't really have any classes, nothing about the grips or
Mm-hmm.
positioning. But that sensation, Emiliano, to hit that little ball
Uh-huh.
the size of, a little plum and sending it 200 yards is
Mm-hmm.
like, whoa,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
this is amazing experience. We got to do this more.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up with three other brothers, I remember in the weekends, going to the driving range and grabbing all these balls of milk cartons of golf balls and just
Uh-huh.
hitting it, hitting it, hitting it. And foolishly, we never got golfing lessons. We thought it was expensive back then, $30, $40 an hour. I could
Uh-huh.
save that money and get a
Yeah.
couple more buckets and,
Mm-hmm.
and crates of golf balls. But looking back to it, I would have liked to take in classes so
Uh-huh.
that
Uh-huh.
I'm practicing and swinging the right way because I still have an awful swing of slicing
Uh-huh.
right to in, and it just goes all the way
Uh-huh.
to the right banana right. But it's something that I really enjoy, especially going to tournaments and meeting all these wonderful
Mm-hmm.
people.
Sure. No, and yeah, that's the other point that I wanted to mention that like many people consider golf to be some sort of like boring sport compared to others, but like what I've seen from experience is that like golf can be a very interesting and even fun sport, not just for the sake of like the sport itself of like hitting the ball, but also for like the community because like when you're playing like the it's 18 holes, right?
18 holes, right? That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
when you're playing to go through all the 18 holes, like you're with other people and there's like a lot of time to chat, to talk, and of course like that nowadays is used a lot for business, right? But like in your case, you have also been using it for like other projects that you have that are not necessarily part of your business initiatives, right? They are also more for like yeah, well, Pam basically. So like helping people in different ways, like basically having people act in their own ways, like to create this big thing, right? So yeah, to start getting into these project that you currently have, I would like you to share just like an overview of what Pam is and how you have been developing it.
So I think Pam for me is my alter ego, my other side. It's a wonderful passion that I have. It's basically giving back, going back to the basics. A lot of our blessings and all of our fortune and all of our upbringing is all about your roots of who you are, how you are, and what your parents have taught you is so critical and so important. So imagine that, our day to day, our living is, taking care of others,
Mm,
attending others. Obviously, in a restaurant setting, it's customer service. You gotta, no matter who's right or wrong, you gotta always,
yeah.
give the client the benefit of the doubt. And you gotta just, do your best, the best product and service. You only get one chance, one complaint is too much for me. I like to do everything without any complaints.
Hmm.
But basically, in a nutshell, Pam has been a wonderful blessing to me because it's my golfing community. It started as a golfing community,
Yeah.
but now it's a big, huge movement. It's a movement to do well for you, for your family, going back to the basics of values, and do the right thing. So imagine a sport like golf, you have somebody with them at least 4 to 6 hours. If it's a tournament, it's going to take longer. But I mean, you get to talk and share and open up about everything in
Hmm.
life. And going to all the golf tournaments I can, sponsoring that, and now being invited and organizing, it's kind of like a blessing in disguise because it's like saying, hey, the best of this sport
Hmm.
is what you're getting out of it
Hmm.
because that's
Hmm.
the relationships.
Sure.
And to have a community, you have to have a good members, a good vision, and a good purpose. And the social aspect of this is we love Mexico, we love the world.
Mhm.
We are the creme de la creme
Mhm.
of, this country, and we want to do good for not only this country but for the world.
Mhm.
So luckily, with this vision that I had, this idea that I have, this brand that I have is now transforming into, wow, I'm getting close to the highest athletes in the world. The Fondoras, the boxing champions, the brother and sister are world champions right now. And the father, Fredy, mi tocayo, he's also their trainer. They're all part of this foundation of
Mhm.
PAM
Mhm.
because we know that together we can get out there quicker and faster and in the highest impact of making that big change, so that more people will do better for themselves and for their families.
Sure.
And then that gives you the best result ever.
Uh-huh.
If you're always thinking about family and the values and your roots, you're going to do right,
Mhm.
you know?
I don't really like cheesy quotes, but there is this one that I think it's like that might fit this idea, which is that like if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go big, like go together with other people. That's kind of what you're doing currently with this project because you're having like a lot of people jump in from all different, not even sectors, but like areas of interest, right? So like sports, art, business, and these different things. Then this is another topic that we were discussing before recording, which is like the um, different environment for building relationships that sports bring compared to like business environments, right? Or like business, yeah, like being in an office, like to network with other people. It's very different to meet people in that scenario compared to like going to football game in the weekend or like a volleyball game or whatever, and then like building a connection with other people through that. Since this is like a very interesting and valuable idea that not a lot of people in business specifically consider, I would like you to share like how that has been for you, like how has how yeah, what have been the benefits of that for you of building relationships that way, and also if you have like a specific example of someone you met like in such a scenario and that you are currently building something with.
Well, in life, I found out, and I'm hearing repeatedly, that if you're passionate about something, do it and do it well and do it at the highest level. And I was raised by my grandparents.
Mm.
My parents were always working, here in Mexico, taking care of the family restaurant, which is super hard. While my grandparents raised us in Maryville, Indiana, Northwest Indiana, close
Mhm.
to Chicago. And growing up with my grandparents, they showed us a lot of values too, a lot
Mhm.
of patience.
Mm.
It wasn't easy taking care of four boys.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, they would give us subtle messages like, hey, don't forget to eat all your food because we witnessed people dying of starvation
Mhm.
during the Japanese occupation in China. I'm like, whoa. When you hear that, you're going to make
Yeah.
sure you eat all
Mhm.
the food
Sure.
because if somebody dies of hunger,
Yeah.
wow, that's a big thing.
Mhm.
And then they would always give us these values of, hey, come home early because we can't sleep. Oh my God, you can't sleep? Okay, we'll come home early.
Mhm.
But going back to that passionate side, you got to be passionate of what you want and what you like to do.
Mhm.
And I found that in golf. Golf for me gave me zen and tranquilization and peace.
Mhm.
And also, I'm a social butterfly. I
Mhm.
like to meet people and I like to, network. But at the same time, in golf and in all the cause and foundation tournaments, social tournaments, you find very interesting people,
Mhm.
super interesting people with good values, always willing to help. And then because of golf, that's one niche. And because of social and foundation, I mean, that's the core essence of what PAM is. Like, you know, uh, people of level, of high level, people that like to always help and support and give their advice, and people just willing to do what we can to come ahead.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I found that very interesting That's my community.
Sure. Yeah.
And basically, everything that I've learned and all my know-how as a restaurant guy and now as a golf guy is like, hey, I'm combining them together, and I want everyone to benefit from this because it doesn't have to be golf. It could be anything. You just have to find that passion. There's 4 pillars in our foundation: education, sports, culture, and altruism. And to me, we decided to choose these 4 pillars because you need to make, the table very sturdy. You need to make it very sturdy for that in case there's a crisis or a problem, everything's well balanced, And let me give you 2 examples real quick. In the earthquake of 2017 of September 19, in my chats, it was amazing because everybody was like confident, everybody was trustworthy, money and tools and supplies came where they need to go. And it was amazing because a lot of people said, do something with this community and this brand. It's more well organized than government, and you guys are doing things greater and faster and bigger. So when I had a breakfast, 60 something people came of showing interest right after the earthquake. And I'm like, there's something here. There's something here that's working, let's go ahead and pursue this. But the other world crisis is in the pandemic. When 2020 comes around in March and everybody's, at home and shut down, I was the type of person that I'm like, I have to go out there. I got to do what I can to get. So with my own golfing community, I decided to convocar, which is to pitch, hey, who out there has solutions? And these wonderful solutions came that were Mexican. Nebulización, which is the nebulizer with silver and citric, and also sales cuaternarias. I can't really. It's something with salts.
Yeah.
Basically, that was a wonderful solution that we had, and then we were sanitizing. With the nano guante. We had an invisible glove that you put salt solutions, and it protects you for hours. All these wonderful things came out of there.
Sure.
But again, repeating to your original question, when it's time of crisis, and you have a solid community doing wonderful things, sky's the limit. And with sports and education, again, that sky's the limit too, because you're reaching a lot of people right away with the highest impact.
Yeah. No, and it all connects to these other pillar of like altruism, because as we were discussing, many of the things that you're currently doing are focused on like helping young athletes, right? Or are you also doing things with young artists or people like that?
Not at this point, but we're interested in that too. Right now, we believe that sports is, a lot of people don't have access to education. It's expensive, or they don't have the grades, and there's a lot of filters there. But sports, anybody can pick up a ball and have fun, but sports is evolutionizing tremendously too. You hear of all these athletes making so much crazy money, but at the same time, imagine all the benefits that sports has with all the discipline, with the passion, with the organization, with the teamwork, of making a person more of a team player and a better corporate aspect of it is just solid. I remember receiving a phone call at 7 a.m. from one of my dear friends. Fredy, did you know that 97% of women that are C-level played some sport? I'm like, did you say 97? Yeah, that's everybody. That's everybody. And I think that study was from Ernst & Young, one of the big 4. And wow, when I heard that, I'm like, this makes sense. It totally makes sense. That's why we're encouraging with this movement to get involved with sports. It could be chess too.
Sure.
Competition of the minds. It could be as simple as that.
No, and that's interesting because it's like expanding beyond traditional sports. Because like many people, I think that, for example, in the art niche, many people might have some like limitations in the way, mostly like mental limitations in the way that you can think like, oh yeah, I'm not very artistic or I'm not very creative or whatever. In sports, even if you just enjoy like what you're doing, even if you're not good at it, you are having like fun time, you are meeting people, and that's good. But even with that, there are a lot of people who are not necessarily into like physical sports, but they are into some sort of competition, as you were saying, like chess, right? What has been your experience getting into chess through PAM?
Well, I'm not a good player. I mean, I don't think I have a horrible record. I only won one or two games out of
Ah,
all the games that I've
uh,
played. But I enjoy it a lot because I've seen my kids grow and excel and develop through competition.
mm,
And when they were in the chess tournaments, I mean, I just saw a different person in them.
mm,
They were more focused, they made more quicker decisions, and the decisions that they made, they learned from it,
mm,
good or bad. So that's why I was like, hey, I can sponsor this. Let's
mm,
sponsor this,
mm,
And anything that has competition is a sport.
mm.
I don't game at all, any online gaming or anything like that. But I hear that there's competitions, Fortnite of a million,
Uh,
couple dollars, US
uh,
dollars for the winning team. But anything that gives you to practice and discipline yourself,
mm.
that's important.
Yeah.
And wonderful sports like the boxing world and the boxing community, that has gotten a lot of people in marginal neighborhoods, instead of doing crime and drugs and things you're not supposed to do
Mm,
because of the sport, he's got them off the streets
mm.
competing
Sure.
and in some cases world
Yeah.
champions.
No, I mean there are even a lot of like inspirational movies on the topic that like are like that share the story of like some athlete who came out of their neighborhood because of the sport that they were playing, right? So that's like a common thing. Then another thing that you mentioned that I find very interesting and like which I think people can like grab a lot of value from, a lot of like solid value from, is the things that sports teach you that are learned from experience. Because it's like learning how to be strategic, for example, is different like just to read about it than like playing. I don't know. Which sports requires strategy? Like I don't know, American football. Not to say like football, soccer, because like yeah. But like that for example. What have been some values or like big lessons that you have learned, mostly through golf, I think, that you use, whether that's like being strategic in some way or like being in the moment, things like that.
Well, one of the most important things of sports, in my opinion, is to have fun,
Hmm.
right? And if you win or lose, it doesn't really matter, just as long as you try to improve,
Hmm.
But again, golf to me has been a wonderful sport because it's gotten me my golfing community and my most of my friends, my good friends.
Hmm.
Imagine passing 4, 6 hours of an afternoon or a morning and just talking about anything and everything.
Hmm.
And obviously, there's a lot of aspects of golf too that make it more exciting too, like a little friendly gentleman's wager. But it's just a wonderful, wonderful sport to
Hmm.
me. But it's like that with any other sport. As long as you have people of your same interests practicing the same discipline, sky's the limit.
Hmm.
Sky's the limit because you have a lot to share and talk about, and then you can spend wonderful time with them,
Hmm.
and relationship building is really important too,
Hmm.
so sports will get you there
Yeah.
as well as education, of
Mhm.
course.
Sure. No, and talking about the education, I want to get into like that topic through like what your perspective is on like different ways through which people can get educated in different ways. So like financially, traditionally, soft skills, things like that. Yeah, I want to get into that and also dive into your experience managing this restaurant and lessons from that. But like let's get to the first part. Yeah, like I it has become very common, especially after the pandemic, that people start to learn a lot of things online, right? That they focus a lot on like expanding their skill set through online courses. Yeah, basically going digital. Are you planning on like doing anything with PAM to target that niche, and also how have you been doing that like recently?
Well, recently in just one breakfast, a great Rotary friend sitting next to me, Luis Ocampo, offered us. He's got a volume of 2,000 here, 3,000 digital books, with the condition that we cannot sell it, which is even better. Free is good.
Yeah.
Free is a great price. So imagine, one book really changed my mind and my chip, and that's Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Instead of being an employee, be the boss, be the one that's paying out the salaries instead of receiving pay, And it gives, and in the second book, Cash Flow Quadrant, it's like, hey, instead of being on the left side of the cash flow quadrant, employee or self-employed like a doctor, be on the right side of the quadrant, which is like, passive income. Every 30 days, you're going to get paid for your intellectual property, your copyrights, or your rent. So like, how do you get more on the right side? So that was really a huge game changer for me. There's obviously people that I like a lot, like Tony Robbins too, super motivational speaker. He really makes you think outside the box. And all these people are saying basically the same thing of don't hang out with toxic people. Recently, a good friend said that if 5 friends are drinking and you're going to be the 6th drunk, then you're not going to get anywhere. But if you're, around with talented people, motivated people, successful people, most likely you'll be successful too. So your peers and the people you hang out with and the people that have the same values is super important. So that's something that I strongly advise.
Yeah. And no, like connecting the dots again through sports, it's a great way to build these connections, right? And to start hanging out with the right people. Now, like diving into your experience managing restaurants, how has golf and like your project with Pam benefited your work managing restaurants? And that can be like in the level of how you serve your customers, people you have connected with who have helped you like expand the business, things like that that have helped you out of the other things that you have been doing.
Well, in any business, in my opinion, it's kind of like having a child, a baby. You got to sit there, especially when it's born and it's a new business, you got to sit there and take care of it. You got to be there day to day, make sure it's well nourished, well managed, good people, good vibrate vibras,
Good vibes.
good vibes. Thank you. And you just have to surround yourself with a really good team, because if there's somebody that's getting a lot of complaints and not really focused on taking care of your product and service, then you got to find somebody else. So the golf aspect of it has helped me grow a lot, because not only do I play, I sponsor and I organize too. And it's just about relationships. Everything in life is about relationships. That famous saying in English is not what you know, is who you know that matters. That's super important. The example I like to use is Bill Gates. Bill Gates knocked on a lot of doors, and the only person that gave him funding was Paul Allen, his friend. Everybody else said, Windows what? Mouse what? No, thank you. No, thank you. But, look at Microsoft now. It's like one of the best companies in the world. And again, with the restaurants, is kind of like a child having to take care of it day to day. Luckily now I have a wonderful team, wonderful partners, wonderful family, wonderful wife that helps me with a lot of things. And that's the secret in successful business, is to have people around you that are super successful and talented and can get things done.
Sure. Yeah. With this, like one of the key takeaways of this conversation is that it's like we are highlighting something that is very noticeable, but that people sometimes forget, which is the importance of who you surround yourself with, right? And we have explored that like through how you have done it with sports, with your restaurants, and like over your life. Something that I would like you to talk about, like because of the context that you personally have, is like how that idea of like the importance of who you surround yourself with, like how that idea looks through the lens of your context in the American culture, in the Mexican culture, which we have already kind of discussed, and also with the Chinese influence that you have.
Right. Well, let's just say we're super active. My wife and I and my kids like to be active.
Mhm.
And there's something called Rotary.
Mhm.
Rotary for me has been one of the best things that's so nutritioning,
Mhm.
because just getting together with leaders of your community and having projects,
Mhm.
you can change people's lives.
Mhm.
In our Rotary Club of Guajimalpa, we help people of low income
Mhm.
with kidney transplants.
Mhm.
So imagine just having dinner every now and then with your friends, once a week or maybe once every 2 weeks, depending on the club. You're actually making a difference in people's lives by helping them with their operation,
Mhm.
with the costs. Obviously, if we pay for it all, they're not going to really appreciate it. So we pay for, 40/40, another organization, and then we have the patient or the person donating the kidney also be responsible for another 20%.
Mhm.
But that way, it's a winning formula, because after 20 years and after 2,000 lives,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
successful operations.
Mhm.
So my message to the audience is get involved.
Mhm.
Get involved with foundations, with um, organizations. Rotary is the type of entrepreneurs organization, but it's a social cause.
Mhm. Mhm.
And just be active. Be active, because if people that are come your way for giving and volunteering your time and your monies, I mean, you're going to find similar people out there
Mhm.
with the same beliefs and the same practices and super successful.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that is like a secret to my success,
Uh-huh.
But also the golfing community.
Mhm.
Create your own community. Be as fair as possible. Be transparent as possible, and have fun.
Mhm.
Have fun, and then sky's the limit there.
Yeah.
A lot of things will come your way if you do things right, and if you're a good person, and if you're also generous.
Yeah.
So,
Have you? So I already knew because we that's where we met about the Rotary Club,
mhm.
where you spoke yesterday, and so you were speaking about your experience in China, like some contrast that you see between the. I mean, it was between China and Mexico, but I would say it's mostly between like Eastern world and Western world in some way, right?
Uh-huh.
Have you been part of any Rotary clubs outside of Mexico or of any similar community, maybe in the U.S.?
No, once you're in a Rotary Club, you're welcome to travel around the world and visit other
Mm.
Rotary clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody open-handedly will receive you with a red carpet and treat you like one of theirs.
Uh-huh.
And normally, Rotary is wonderful because they're leaders of the communities. And normally there's different diverse backgrounds in each Rotary Club.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it unique and diverse. And with that, I mean, things can get done when programs can get done. But in China, we had the wonderful benefit fortune to go visit this summer. We saw another world out there.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, cashless. There's
Mm-hmm.
no money, there's no coins.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's just registered with your cell phone. It's a WeChat, they call it there. It's a version of WhatsApp. And then you just scan and pay with your social media.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you register your face,
With
your
facial
facial
recognition.
recognition can make a
Mm-hmm.
payment.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
In all the cities we went to, Wuhan, Hangzhou, Xi'an, Chengdu, Shanghai, and Beijing,
Mm-hmm.
they were all those cities of 20 million and above, with a clean environment everywhere we went. Super safe and secure because there's cameras everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
including like if you travel the subway system or enter or exit a state or you go to any museum, you gotta be registered, and you gotta bring your passport everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
because they want to make sure they know
Yeah, who's
who's
moving where?
coming
Uh-huh.
in and out,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we felt very secure. But obviously, you hear these horrible stories of, you have no rights.
Mm-hmm.
They can just pick you up anytime and make you disappear any second. There's all pros and cons to everything.
Mm-hmm.
But, it was a good experience to see how advanced,
Mm-hmm.
China is. A quick example is there's 150 brands of cars out there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In
Yeah.
Mexico, there's only 70.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And out of the 70, 30 are Chinese
Mm-hmm.
here.
Yes, it has been growing a lot like lately in the last 5 years or 10 years. Like
Right,
especially with companies like BYD and
right.
like these competitors to Tesla. Now like we have been discussing many of the things that you do. now I want to dive into this last topic that I'm interested in, like knowing your perspective on, and then just some final wrap up questions. And
Sure.
yeah, so yeah, talking about this, like given the technology that you saw in China, right? And this example of like BYD competing with Tesla, and also like people from the US, like, what's your perspective on how things will keep evolving with things like AI or automation, robotics, things like that that you might have been exposed to in some way, and that you also think that could be like very beneficial for people in the future?
Well, there's definitely a commercial war of AI going on between China and US. There's no doubt about it.
Mm.
And you're going to see more and more and more and more of it
Mm.
as the years progress. I mean, it's basically whoever gets there quicker and faster, is going to dominate the show.
Mm.
So that's why there's a race for that.
Mm.
Um, yes, AI is good, but then it's going to make a lot of jobs obsolete, especially the introductory jobs.
Mm.
Those truck drivers or, restaurant, fast food people or, things of those nature. Those jobs are going to be eliminated
Mm.
because AI is going to be able to, predict a lot of things like, hey, do you want a fry? You want a burger? You want a hot dog? Simple stuff like that.
Mm.
It's just going to be able to automate and simplify. So you don't need 2 or 3 people taking the order anymore. You can do it all digital. Um, in a sense, it's good, but then that means that the workforce, the public, has to either adapt and learn about AI and or have something specialty for
Mm.
them to be competitive in the workplace.
Mm.
You know, so technology's good, but it's not that good.
Yeah, like
Eh,
the effects, the social effects.
Right. Speaking of the social effects, imagine with all this cell phones and all this crazy social media that's going on, kids are losing values.
Mm.
The youth, they don't want to get married anymore. They'd rather have pets. They want to change their bodily organs, and they don't think in the future. They don't have that work ethic. So that's why I did this PAM movement for the love of the world so that we can go back to the basics. We can remember what's important, and that's family and values.
Yeah.
So this is what
Yeah,
this
and like,
message is about.
sure, and wrapping up many of the things that we have said, even as technology keeps evolving and as crises come, like in the pandemic or in different times, like these values that have been held by cultures throughout many centuries, like for example, like a very basic one, family, are things that will keep being important and like relevant even as things change, right? Because it's something you can hold on to, and like projects like PAM are helping to have people notice that and really like have awareness about that.
Right. I mean, imagine golfing with people and then them sharing you fun facts
Mhm.
or life hacks.
Mhm.
I'll give you an example. A great friend that was head of a big school here in Mexico just shared me something really important. He's like, Freddie, did you know that just having meals more frequently with your children, breakfast, lunch, dinner, or traveling and spending more time with them,
Mhm.
reduces significantly the rate of addiction?
Mm.
And I thought about it. I'm like, well, let me take examples. I have a lot of friends that have crazy addictions of smoking and drinking and stuff like that. They're not really close friends anymore, obviously.
Mhm.
And then I see their parents divorced. And I have other good friends that I see that they're amazing, they're solid, they're wonderful, and they're always constantly spending time
Mhm.
with their family.
Mhm. Mhm.
And their parents are still married, and their grandparents are still married.
Mhm.
So if you just think about that, that comment, if you spend more quality time with your kids,
Mhm.
they're more relaxed, they're calm, they're confident,
Mhm.
and they'll be more successful.
Mhm. Mhm.
Makes total sense.
Yeah, yeah, it's like
Makes total sense.
being present in the lives of the people who are important to you, like really makes difference, even in their mental health. And I guess that there are a lot of like there's a lot of research that has been done on that subject, on how that has effects, that has positive effects, like psychologically and even like in your body, right? So like biologically, I was listening to a podcast recently where the host said something like, it's the quality of time at work that matters, and it's the quantity of time with family that matters. In it was something like that, and I guess that in some way that makes sense because what you're seeking to do with work is to actually get results, right? And to like make things efficient in different ways. But then with family, it's like it's not just about having one special moments a year with family. It's so like having those consistently and like building that so that that psychologically also helps people like to be more united with their family and to have like that like foundation from which they can like approach many things in life.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And unfortunately, there are people out there that don't have family or their parents are divorced or whatnot. But I encourage that you spend more quality time with your kids,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
or your grandkids, or your even your parents or grandparents,
mm-hmm,
or your aunt and uncle,
mm-hmm.
right? Because you know when push comes to shove and there's a crisis, an emergency, the only people that will be there definitely for you is your own family, your own blood,
Sure. Yeah.
But at the same time, having friendships, close friendships,
Yeah.
not toxic friendships, having close, good friendships that are healthy, that's also important too.
Yeah.
So that's what my message is to those
Sure.
listening.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with really nice people, good people, successful people.
People with values as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. And one last comment on this before the wrap up questions.
Uh huh.
In a podcast that I recorded back in 2021, I think it was,
Uh
with
huh.
an author called Brent Menswer, he talked about the like the very big effects that connection has. Because like if you connect, well, yeah. First of all, connecting is something that we as humans are like prompted to do, right? Because like it's part of who we are as a species. Like we cannot just exist alone as a single person, right?
Okay.
But that then because of that comes like these need for us to keep connecting with people, and when we feel disconnected, if it's maybe with our family for example, we might seek that connection in other places, and that's kind of dangerous because you might find connection in places where it's not ideal to find connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe toxic places, places with toxic people, places where you are like connected with the wrong ideas or with some radical ideas. But then, like, if communities as yours start to expand the ability that people have to connect with the right people, with people with values, people with purpose, people with vision, then that's like something that creates positive impacts out of this need that humans have, right? That we as humans have. So yeah, that was just one idea that came to my mind
Mm-hmm.
talking about this topic.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. You want to do well in life, you got to surround yourself with really good people.
Mhm.
But if you want to go that route of going through bars and all those different places that are just gonna suck up your money and savings, you don't need you don't need to do that.
Mhm.
There's some tips. You can pre-drink ahead of time before you go into the place,
Mhm.
and don't shut down the place. Get out of there like in an hour or two and go somewhere else where
Mhm.
you don't have to pay the big bill,
Uh-huh.
because obviously when people are drinking and having fun, your inhibitions and your decision making is going to be very poor,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? So, just little simple things like that.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
don't have to have fun when you're drinking, you can have fun when you're not drinking.
Yeah, yeah,
You
or in
know?
sports or many things. Like, yeah,
Right.
people find fun in many scenarios. So, yeah, great. I think that through these last questions, you will be able to wrap up these key ideas that we have been discussing.
Okay.
But if you want to mention anything else, we can do that after these questions.
Sure.
So yeah, the first one is, oh, and well, yeah, these are three questions that I ask all of my guests.
Okay.
So the first one is, what is a book, a movie, a music album, a blog, whatever that you have consumed or watched recently that you enjoyed a lot?
Well, I liked the TV program Shark Tank.
Mm-hmm.
I love listening to Mark Cuban bicker with everyone, Mr. Wonderful
Uh-huh.
and Lori.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just an amazing experience to me. Thinking to myself when I'm watching it, will that invest?
Uh,
Those questions they asked, it's pretty good questions.
mm,
All those product and service they're offering, will it make it?
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I love it watching it with my kids because I ask them too, would they invest? And why
Mm-hmm.
not? Why yes? And that's something I really like. Shark Tank USA,
Okay.
you know.
Do you like Shark Tank Mexico?
I watched a few episodes, it's good, but the people there keep on dying, no?
Mm-hmm.
But I like the US version a lot better. And
Mm-hmm.
after 16 successful years, it's sad that it's not going to continue, but
Mm-hmm.
it's time
Well, I
to
mean,
move
there
on.
are a lot of episodes that you can like rewatch.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly. So, I like that. Like I mentioned before, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, anything financial like Wall Street Journal, Barron's,
Mm-hmm.
I like reading up on what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But remember these words that I tell you guys and share with you in this podcast. Artificial intelligence is going to change everything dramatically. Hopefully for the good, but some things for the bad. But if you're there with the biggest players like Nvidia,
Mm-hmm.
you should be okay.
Sure.
And I luckily got invested in Apple a long time ago, over 10 years, and it's gone up tenfold. So I'm
Mm.
really happy with that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. I mean,
You know,
it will of course keep growing. Um.
buy what you know,
Yeah.
buy what you like.
Cool.
You know.
Then the next thing is, and maybe you can connect this to the things and the lessons that we have discussed. But what is something that you have learned or discovered recently that you found valuable or interesting?
Well, again, family, 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 family. You can't live on life without your family. Like, for instance, my parents have given us everything, and they don't want anything in exchange.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see their kids and grandkids and their great grandkids, do well. And that's so important to me. You know, it reminded me, wow, back to the basics, back to the roots.
Mm-hmm.
My parents were so generous with us that they let us make decisions on our own.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we some of the businesses that we've done hasn't gone well, but they give us that confidence to independence to try it.
Mm-hmm.
So I will forever be grateful for that.
Yeah,
You
which
know.
is a great thing to start operating from because you have like this foundation, right? Like, oh, my parents support me, or like
Hmm.
people who are close to me are supporting me in some way. Then the last question, as I told you, my podcast is called Coffee Lounge.
Uh-huh.
So what is your favorite? Well, do you drink coffee? Do you like
I
coffee?
love coffee.
Great.
I have coffee every day. I think without coffee, I get a sluggish attitude.
Uh-huh.
I'm grumpy. But again, cappuccinos, lattes,
Okay.
americanos, all that, espressos, I love
Sure.
them all.
So, what is your favorite coffee? That can be like a coffee, a specific drink, a specific bean, if you're very like fancy with coffee as me. And what is like your favorite situation or place for drinking coffee?
Well, when I went to Colombia, I have some friends out there that invite us. I mean, Juan Valdez is amazing coffee,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I'm not picky.
Ah.
I'm open-minded. They say coffee from alturas altas,
Uh-huh.
high coffee is good. But any, I mean, just grab anything at Costco, you can't go wrong. Costco is an amazing store that normally filters everything right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a connoisseur like coffee connoisseur like you, but I just enjoy any coffee.
Okay, great. And
Uh-huh.
and the situation in which you enjoy drinking coffee? Because like for me, coffee's sort of a bonding drink where I mean it's for like beer for many people, right? That you're
Uh-huh.
just like chilling and like having a beer and talking with people.
Uh-huh.
For me, coffee is that like that in some way too. Do you have like a specific situation in which you enjoy drinking coffee, or is it
In,
just
in
something
the
you in the
mornings,
morning?
it gets you that extra boost.
Mm-hmm.
I like to take and drive in my kids to school, so
Hmm.
coffee is the energy
Yeah.
and the boost. I really enjoy coffee. And coffee, there's a lot of wonderful health properties too to
Hmm.
it. Keeping the mind sharp, reduce chances of Parkinson's and
Hmm.
Alzheimer's.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
coffee with the right measurement
Yeah.
is pretty good.
Yeah, maybe I'm a little bit over the right measurements, but yeah. Yeah. Well, so is there anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to mention to wrap up this episode?
Well, we're looking to expand this concept of restaurants. It's been around for 52 years. We have 5 units currently. We're going for the sixth in San Luis Potosí.
Hmm.
But anybody listening that wants a licensing deal or a semi-franchise deal, you can contact Emiliano and we can see what we can do. And also, my vision is that for the world for the love of the world, Pam, and for the love of Mexico,
Hmm.
that sky's the limit too.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that motivational factor,
Hmm.
and if you don't have that wow factor and that purpose,
Hmm.
that
That
mission,
vision,
purpose,
yeah.
you have to have that in your
Hmm.
life. That's how it will get you really far and successful.
Sure. And yeah, like also what we mentioned, connecting to the right people, right, and like staying close to the right people, and that of course varies depending on the person, but like at the end of the day, it's like the same principle.
Hmm. Just being genuine, being fair, being honest, and good things will come.
Great, cool. Well, so Freddy, thank you for coming on the
Thank you,
show. I
Emiliano.
appreciate it a lot.
Appreciate you.